You have your phone, right?
Yeah. Where's yours? Oh, yeah, it's
Where is mine?
Recording in progress.
Are you awake?
It's been a while since I had to wake up this early. That's usually a question you'd ask.
That's not.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
Yeah, you have those blonde moments.
Grand rising, everyone. Zoom changed a little bit.
Did it?
Yeah, it's like a little weird.
It looks a little bit different.
We're gone for 1 week, and we come back to an entire differently, new Zoom. See,
I don't know. I've been on Zoom calls.
oh yeah, that's true.
So,
But setting it up, even like the meeting settings were different.
hi everyone. I am back.
What up? Welcome back. Welcome back to Fire Hour. So last episode we talked about marketing and branding. That's what we dived into. And I was actually sharing a little bit about Star Motorworks and like the movies philosophy. And so we're actively doing it now and it's in motion. So what have you been seeing in terms of the trends of the world?
What have I been saying?
What has everyone been seeing or noticing in the marketplace? Specifically for like, marketing, branding, business.
Communities, right?
What about them?
Communities are very powerful because you have a bunch of people who know you or think they know you, like you, and trust you, right? So it's typically your community, people that really feel like they know who you are because you put yourself out there, that purchase from you. So when you have an offer, people are like, hey, I already know you, I already like you, I already trust you, I've been following you for a while. Like, you share a good amount about your life for me to feel like we've developed this friendship, right? And then when you have an offer, a good or service or event, what have you, like people are like, cool, I'm there, So that's what I've been seeing, is a lot more communities built. Like when you're looking at these influencers or, whether they're micro or whether they're bigger. Yeah.
Communities. Yeah, that's true. It's like that. That's on the rise. What else
Yeah.
is there?
I don't know.
Personal branding.
Well, yeah, because that follows with communities. Like if
Exactly.
you're
Okay.
not a personal brand, like you're not gonna get the community. Like no one's gonna even they don't even know who you are.
Yeah. So community, personal branding. What else is there? Right. Entrepreneurship, like overall.
Yeah.
Like the industry of entrepreneurship is on the
It's
rise.
booming.
Yeah. What else is there? Um, Personal development. I think that personal
Yeah.
development is on the rise. Um, just self-awareness, I think, is on the rise. I think other people are becoming more conscious, even like for families. Like we were on a Zoom call yesterday for a conference call. Um, and they were talking about how like one of the biggest aspects that they focus on for all their students and stuff is like mental like health and just awareness of what is going on in the students and parents' lives, right? So I think that it was interesting for me to see that because as we go about like social media and like building our businesses and like living our lives, like all of this, it's kind of interesting because I was never like truly aware about all of these aspects and these elements and how they all like intertwine, they all come together. And I think that like if you can say like finding like because some people ask like how do you find balance? Like how do you balance out everything in your life? And I was listening to this interview. Remember, this is what I shared before is that when you're learning about like success, like what is the framework to use is to always shoot to the top, right? So if you shoot to the top, if you're looking for like financial success, for example, like how many people are you learning from that are at the top, right? Whether you like them or not, because you want to drop the ego, right? Drop your guard, drop your ego, so that way you can open your mind and really like understand and learn and download information that can be helpful for you in your journey to success, right? So like forget about all the politics, forget about like what the news says, forget about like what social media says even. Just keep an open mind attached to nothing when you're learning and take notes and be that student, right? Have that student mentality. So I was listening to a few billionaires interviews like over the past like couple weeks because for me again, like I can always learn from everyone at every level, right? Because there's a law of 33%, which is what I learned from my mentor. You want to learn from people who are, on their journey, basically like behind you. They're students. The people who are your peers, like they're in the trenches with you, and then the people who are years and decades ahead of you, even who are no longer here. You want to learn from them as well. And those are kind of like your mentors and guides and the people that you look up to. And so you always want to have that balance of, one, two, and three, and always learning from each category, basically, each person that has that information available to you. Because it's true that, that when they say like age is just a number, I believe that's true. Because if you look at history, there are people who have changed the trajectory of history at different ages, right? There were some that there were children. There are some that, are adults, and then there are some that were in their wiser years, right? So it's really important that no matter what the age is, as long as you're looking at the information with an open mind and really like seeing like what they are sharing and then absorbing it and then applying it to your whatever position or that is applicable for you in your situation, then you can learn, right? And so I was thinking like this is something that I've been sharing. Like I've been wrestling with, how do I figure out like this balance? How do I find out like, how to like just crush it like and in everything that we're doing while balancing like family and, you know, everything else, okay? Like the four pillars of the good life, right? And so,
Four or five?
four, five. What's the fifth one?
I don't know. Why did I think it was five?
Health, wealth, love, happiness. I don't know what the fifth one is then.
Four
Oh,
seems
you're
about
talking
right.
about the five. Oh, you're talking about the five rules of life, right?
Oh,
Like be good, be healthy, work
okay.
hard, get along, do something good with your life.
There's no such thing as balance.
Yeah, what I've learned is that there's no such thing as balance.
There really isn't. Um, I think time management is where it's at, like there's so many things going on in this world today. And with social media, you see a lot of things like how do you be the best parent? Like how do you be the best, so and so at your business or in your career, right? If you have a job, like, and then how do you balance the home life, right? Like things still have to happen in the home, right? Groceries don't come and show up in your fridge and the house doesn't get cleaned on its own. So there are so many things these days to balance, and there's so many places or people pulling your attention. And when you feel like you have it, or like you're doing really well in one aspect of your life, or maybe two aspects, there's, maybe fires to put out somewhere else or something else that's attracting your attention. So, I mean, I personally feel like it's there's no such thing as a perfect balance. Like you want to be a perfect mother or a perfect, husband or whatever. And you also want to be really great at your career. And you also want to be like the best parent, or you also want to be the best person at, let's say you go to church or have a religion or have some type of philanthropic work that you do. Like it's like, all you can do really is just be your best.
Yeah.
Be your best and improve every day, right? Like, okay, I wasn't able to get to this, whatever, but like, what else did I have going on, right? So allow yourself the grace and the compassion that you show others, right? While you're pushing through things. Um, so yeah, I mean, what are your guys' tips? Time blocking. Time blocking is huge, right? Like, what's important to you overall? Because I know a lot of people on here, most of you guys are parents, right? And the most important thing to you, it may be your kids. And so you're like, I'm working hard, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's for my family, it's for my kids. It's so that one day when I make enough or when I hit this financial goal, because let's be honest, it's always around a financial goal, and it's never really for the money. It's for the freedom, it's for the options, it's for the time that it could allow you, right? But if you keep doing that and you're like, one day this, like, you might not ever get to that day, because let's be real, you're probably going to be working for a very, very long time unless you set yourself up a long time ago, or someone taught you financially how to set yourself up to retire early and to still have enough and to be able to leverage your assets to be able to work for you, right? So you don't have to trade your time for money anymore. So you have to schedule those things out. And like, I'll be the first one to admit, like, there were times where, we had our daughter like watching YouTube, like educational YouTube. And we're like, oh yeah, like, let's just, when we finish this, when we finish that, like, oh, a couple more hours, like, oh, he has to finish something. Oh, and then I have to finish something. And then the whole day's gone by and we didn't even take her out once. And I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, we said that this is the most important thing in our life, but are we doing that? You know what I mean? Because there's so many things or people or businesses or needing our attention, right? Like, okay, so and so needs help, or this needs help, or okay, you see something, okay, then you do something, right? And you're just like giving, 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 but like, the last person you're giving to is the person or the people that's the most important to you, that you think that you're doing all this for. But then you come back and you're like, I'm not even doing that, So I think that blocking out time and having hard non-negotiables and like timers is really important, because there's never not going to be work. There's never not going to be things that you don't have to do, or that you're not going to, be able to get to. Like, work is never ending, right? And people wanting things or like needing something from you is going to be never ending, right? Or your feelings or your thoughts of needing to be this, to be that, to do this, to that. It's never ending. But like, what about the people that are the most important to you? And maybe you don't have kids, right? What about your relationships with your partner? Like, did you time block out for them to actually have time with them one-on-one outside of home, kids, work, right? Because that will affect your relationship heavily. Like, what about your family, your parents, your friends, right? So putting in hard time blocks and like non-negotiables, and even setting alarms to be like, get off, like, right now you need to just intentionally spend 30 minutes to an hour, right, with your family. Those are really important, because you can keep running and not and you're like, well, I'm doing this for them, but the whole time you're not even paying attention to them. Then it's like, okay, but like, what relationship are you going to have with them in 10, 20, 30 years? Or when you're on your deathbed, you're like, oops, never really made it. Like, never really, you know what I mean? Like, never really worked hard enough or had enough money to really do that. Or so you think, right? So time management, time blocking, hard non-negotiables, and just knowing that, like, if you give all of your effort, like, you did enough. Like, if you kind of set a goal out, you did enough, right? There's always going to be work to do, but like, eventually your kids grow old very quickly. Your parents will grow old. Your friends would be like, we have no relationship anymore. So yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
well, it's like what Rebecca said. This is all important, right? Lena said she came back from vacation last week and committed to working less hours, so she can use that time for cooking and spending time with family, kids, activities, etc. Right?
Yeah.
And even like since she started thriving, she's timed her showers so that way she's not wasting extra minutes getting ready.
Yeah.
Like all of those efforts, it counts
Mhm.
because it stacks up because the compound effect, right? And it's all about, when you take a step back and you really look at the big picture, adding on to what Crystal was saying is that, all of this truly matters and it goes down to your decisions. It boils down to what is the most important thing for you in your life. And, for us as parents, one of the most important things in our life is our children, but not just our children, spending time, like intentional time with our children, right? Creating memories, going out, like doing activities, scheduling out things that we want to do and experience together, right? Because experiences are the things that your children will, if you have small children, if you just span out, like future pace yourself like 20 years from now, right? Ask yourself, like, what type of childhood will your children remember 20 years from now, right? That would, if you just ask yourself that question and you sit down with yourself and you ask yourself that question, right? Like that right there, it'll give you the answer. You'll get the answer. Like, this is what my children will remember, right? And that's why it's so important for us that we spend our time intentionally with our children, especially when they're young, because yes, they are growing. There's a lot of childhood development things that are happening, with the children, but at the same time, it's like, how much do you really want to believe? How much do you want to create, and what type of life do you really want to live with your children, right? And then for yourself, if you don't have children, etc., you're figuring things out for yourself as well, right? No matter what age, it doesn't matter the age, but like today is a new day. You're able to recreate your entire life today. Every single day that you wake up, you have a new opportunity, a new chance, a new change, right? To change something in your life that you want to change. And it's about making that decision for yourself. But it's about knowing what you want first. And then from there, making a decision and then taking the actions consistently. And not only that, but every single decision that you make, it comes with responsibility and discipline. And if you make a decision, but you're not disciplined to follow through, then you're not going to see like the result that you want. Because if you're truly serious about what you want in your life, you want to, like for us, we want to seriously work less. We want to seriously spend more time with our children. We want to seriously make a lot more in our businesses. We want to seriously like make an impact. We want to seriously do a lot of different things. But if we're not disciplined to follow through with the decision that we make, then how can we expect that result, right? And the thing is too is that there's a difference between experiencing it versus trying to figure it out along the way, right? And having that faith until you make it, until you like experience like all that stuff. For us, like it is true that you can work 30 minutes a day and make a lot of money. Like that is true, right? And that's just an experience, right? That was an experience. So that's why it's easy to believe. But if you've never experienced that before, right? If you've never made money like from social media before, like how is it easy for you to really believe that, right? If you never experienced it. And that's where the book Think and Grow Rich comes into play, in my opinion. From what I like from decades of experience now and learning all the ups and downs, etc., and then experiencing it, right? Like what I can share with you, and just for those who are ready to receive it, is it is possible, right? It is possible. You can make a lot of money within seconds because it's just possible. I believe that. And in 30 minutes per day, right, it is possible to change like your life just simply because that's the belief I have, and that there's so much proof out there. I'm going to share more details with that, but let's just read a few things. But yeah, Rebecca says that's so smart, timing your showers. Jenny says, yes, more time with my children, not missing out on their learning, wanting to put them in sports, but my job is in the way. So now, like right there, like that's, thank you for sharing. Like there's going to be so many constraints and challenges that get in the way, really, get in the way of what you truly want to do. And like, so the challenge is really like, it's right there though. It's like, what is the solution to getting around that or going through it, right? Over, under, or over, under, or through, like you're going to make it happen no matter what, because you'll will it into existence, right? So if you, like with that challenge right there, this is like something that everyone can do. Like there's always a problem, and then a solution. So in between, there's a gap. This gap is the bridge that gets you overcoming the problem. So what is that gap? What is that bridge that you need to build so that way you can get to the solution faster, right? And again, like there might be like scheduling conflicts, there might be a lack of funds, like whatever the problem is, right? There's always a solution. Okay, there's always that bridge that you got to build. However you build that bridge is up to you though, right? And so if you can figure out how this is like a philosophical thing, but these are like frameworks for yourself. It's just like how you're able to learn. If you master how you learn, you'll be able to cut your learning curve so much faster than if you didn't know how to learn. Okay, everyone has a different learning style, but you have to figure that out for yourself, right? For me, I can figure like when it comes to like solving like business problems, I know how I learn to solve the business problems. So I'm able to solve problems fast like this in business. When it comes to like downloading information, I know how I learn. I know how I download information. So I'm able to cut my learning curve and download information faster, learn faster. I'm able to learn faster just simply because I know how I learn. For you, for everyone here, like if you don't know how you learn yourself for certain things in your life, that's one thing to solve first. Because if you can solve that faster, that is a 20% that gets the 80 done. Okay, does that make sense?
Can you share with them the different types of learning?
Yeah, but there's many different ones. Because it's not just like there's three types of learning.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
what is the
visual.
general ones?
Yeah, basically like in the beginning, it's like you either learn visually,
Mhm,
like kinesthetically by doing, or audit like by listening. Okay.
mhm.
And the thing is too is like there's many layers to it. So it's like you can learn from experience, you can learn from just being in proximity with people, and just like if you're in the room, if you get yourself in the right rooms with the right people to learn the things that you need to learn, you can get information from them just by being in the room. It's opening up your perspective. It's opening up your mind to different things. I'm not an expert in like the psychological like side of these things and like the scientific things, but there's something called the RSA, the RAS, reticular activation system. It's something in the brain where when you see something, you can't unsee it anymore. When you hear something and you are now made aware of it, you start to see it everywhere. Okay. For example, let's talk about like the Cybertruck. Okay, like the Cybertruck is something brand new, right? Rebecca says I need that activated ASAP. It's already activated, right? It just activated right now, right? You're now aware of it. So now here's how to bridge it. Okay, so let's say for example you've never heard about the Cybertruck. Okay, I'm just using this because this is something that's new, it's fresh. People are still like talking about it, they're still like discovering it, and so when they see it, they're like, "What the heck is that?" Right? I was talking to my mom a few weeks ago and I asked her because we're driving in the car down like the freeway, and I saw a Cybertruck pass by, and so I was like, "Oh, like." I asked my mom, "Have you ever seen the Cybertruck?" And she gave me this story. She was like, "Yeah, I was driving in San Diego, and out of nowhere, this car was driving behind me. I had no idea what it was, but it kept on like inching up on me. So I decided to pull to the right, and she saw that this like silver like looking thing just passed by her, and she was just astonished. She was like, "What the heck is that?" So when she got home, she Googled it. She Googled like silver car truck thing. And then like the Cybertruck pulled up and then she was like, "Oh, okay, that's what it is." And then ever since then, her RAS, the reticular activation system, whatever that thing is in the brain, the mind, it was activated. So now she was made aware of the Cybertruck and what it is, and she could identify it, right? So now ever since then, like she knows what it is, right? Same thing with personal development. In 2015 or 2016, um, I shared with my mom like personal development. Like, here's videos on personal development. This is what personal development is. This is why it's important. This is what mindset is. I shared with her that, and she knew these things too, but she was more aware and more intentional about learning about personal development. And so ever since then, she started to learn about personal development. She was made aware. Okay, she was made aware of it. Now it's in her consciousness and in her awareness, really. And so when it comes to books, like she sends me like quotes and books since then because she's aware of it. And not only that, like that's KLT, know, like, and trust. You're building know, like, and trust because you're building bridges. It's affiliations. It's, oh, I like this, you like this too. Now we can connect together on this thing that we like together. Okay, does that make sense?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like that. Rebecca says that's why when you buy a car and it's a Ford, for example, now we always see that car all day. Exactly, because you're now made aware, right?
And then adding to what you said,
Mhm.
it's communication, and through communication, you build relationships, right?
Yeah, building bridges builds relationships. Okay, like there's something called bridging. I learned this from my mentors. When it comes to like networking and relationship building, you're always looking for bridges to build. Like if someone likes something and you truly, genuinely, authentically like it too, you can build a bridge with them that creates a relationship, a stronger connection, and then you guys can build together. You guys can build that bridge together, which builds a relationship, right? So that's called bridging. Um, Lena says, all I remember is going back to school night one year, and my eldest said my mom is a workaholic. That hit hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge, right? Because your child is aware,
Mhm.
right? And it's crazy how like our children are aware of these terms.
They're so aware. And then they also kids, they always tell the truth, right? Like,
Mhm.
yes, there's times they make little white lies, but for the most of the time, like when it comes to children, it's very easy. I see it, I say it. There's no filter. There's no, oh, am I going to hurt this person's feelings? Because they're not thinking that. They're just thinking, I saw it, so I said it. Okay, and now I'm getting in trouble for saying it, right? Like the obviously there's like things that they have to learn, right? But they're like the greatest teachers because yeah, I've been told that too, right? Like, you know, when your kids write about, oh, when they write about their mom or their dad, right? It's like, oh, dad's fun. He takes us here and there, right?
Mhm.
And my daughter, I think when she was a few years ago, she was like 6 or 7. She wrote about me, and she was just like, "Oh, my mom's really good at making money and working a lot," you know. But and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, you know. But they also had said, like, both of my kids had said, like, my mom loves me a lot. She's very loving and like she's very nurturing, right? Because I do a lot of things for them. I do intentionally spend time with them because there was a point in time where I had 4 businesses and Thrive I stumbled upon became my fifth. And so obviously I was working all the time. And although I worked from home with all 4 businesses plus Thrive, right? 5, um, I didn't really see them. Like I would literally see them maybe 1 hour a day and that's it, right? Like at the time my ex and my mom, they were helping me around the house. Like, you know, my ex had work and stuff, but after work he would cut it off. Like that's it. And for me, I just worked. Like from the time my eyes opened until the time my eyes were shut, I just worked and I spent maybe like 1 hour somewhat intentionally with them. Like I'm still on my phone and I'm next to them and I'm responding, but I'm not really present, right? And so it's like memories like that, that it really hurts because you can't take that time back. You can't get that time back, right? And what happened from it? You know what I mean? Like what results, you know, happened from all that time you took away from them because there's always going to be work and you're probably going to be working for maybe almost the rest of your life or doing something with yourself for the rest of your life, right? Um, so yeah, like the kids they will always tell you, you know, what's happening or what's going on. So when they do tell you something that they see or something that they're very aware of, like take accountability for it. You know, don't get upset at them and just be like, wow, like hey, like what do you mean by that? Like ask questions
Mhm.
and like, oh, what do you mean by that? And like what do you think I should do? Right? Because sometimes a lot of times kids moral compasses they're still very very intact. It's still there, right? And like as adults, like sometimes our moral compasses it kind of gets clouded, I want to say, right? Where we think that like, oh, we're right and this is what we're doing and it's for this. But it's like, you know, when as a child, when you were growing up and looking up at your parents, you were just like, why do they do that? That doesn't make sense. So having the realization that kids will see what they say. And if they say it, it's because they saw it. Don't get upset at them. Like, remember when your parents used to get upset at you for telling the truth? It's like, you know, now we're those parents, right? Or were their friends. Like, let's just say you don't have kids. Like, if your friends are saying something, your family's saying something, and if a lot of people are saying the same thing, then it's like it's kind of time to start looking at yourself and asking yourself questions. And like realizing like people wouldn't say these things unless there was some truth to it, right? So let me explore that. I think that's also a part of personal development is having feedback from people.
Yeah, you have to, no matter what. And like, for those who have children, like that is one aspect of using like learning from someone who's a student, right? And like they say that your children are your greatest teachers. Like I found that to be very, very true because of what Crystal's saying. It's like if they see it, they say it. And if they say it, then I would consider that a blessing because that's good that your children are speaking to you and letting you know, like, here's like what I'm seeing. Here's my perspective. Now you as an adult, as the not just the adult, but like as someone who's a role model and influencer to them, if you truly want to do your best and be your best, then you take the good and the bad and you bring that insight in for yourself and then you learn, okay, and you get better, right? So, and that is part of personal development. It's like your journey because we're
Mhm.
all like still, if you're a parent, you're a parent for the very first time ever, right? So, like you're learning throughout every single everyone's life, right? And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of life.
And them feeling safe to be able to express themselves and talk
Yeah.
to you, right? Like the way I grew up, I could not really say that about like one of my parents, right? Like I can't say anything. Or if you grew up in an Asian or a strict cultural household, like it was not safe to say the truth about that person or anything, right? So if your kids are saying something and you yell at them because you want to deny it or you're not aware or you're insecure about what they're saying and you're like, "No, I'm perfect," like it's not going to work, right? Like personal development is easy when you're reading books and watching videos, but it's not when you're getting immediate feedback from the people that you love the most, right? And it's constructive criticism. It's like, "Hey, I love you. You're saying this, but you're doing this. I see there's like a bridge. Like let's, they're it's almost as
It's a
if they're
disconnect.
teaching you,
Yeah.
right? Because what are you gonna do? Like ignore them and be like, I'm not gonna be your friend anymore because you said something about me that made me feel some type of way. Well, if you felt some type of way, like maybe you should look into it, right? Because you wouldn't feel that way if it was not even like that.
Yeah, there's a quote. They say if you spot it, you got it, right? So it's the same thing. Like it works both ways. But obviously, children have a less like they're less. They see the truth. I like to say. So, and this goes really well with what Catherine is saying. This is a really good, in my opinion, this is kind of like a one percenter. It's like what you said, Catherine. If they can draw, ask. So if they can draw, ask them to draw a picture of you.
Mm.
That may tell a lot. That right there is just like that one sentence, like that is huge. That is a hack, in my opinion. Right? I agree with you. Like that will tell a lot. If they're too young to draw, just keep loving and hugging as much as possible because they grow so fast. Either way, hug them a lot and maybe see how many times a day you get to hug them because that might say how or that might say how or too busy it is. We all need hugs. That's very true. I think that when it comes to your children, like, again, we're not trying to teach anyone how to raise their children. We're just sharing like what we do and what we've learned over
What we've
these years.
experienced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what we experienced. Because it just
We're still learning.
yeah, we're learning, but like because we're entrepreneurs, like we run businesses, like we're working all the time, like it requires us to work a lot, right? If you have a 9 to 5 job, um, and we all started off like in 9 to 5s,
Yeah.
but well, yeah, both of us had, well, you had 2 jobs too, right?
I had many jobs
No, but at the same time.
at the same time.
I worked 2 jobs and 3 side hustles on the side just to make ends meet in my previous lives, right? And so,
I think that I just worked a lot in one. Like when there
oh,
was an
okay.
opportunity to take shifts and work overtime or do holidays or do all the shifts that no one else wanted to do, I was always like, everyone could come to me because I would take their shift. So I wouldn't say 2 to 3 jobs. I would just say 60, 80 hour weeks, right? 14,
Mm.
16 hour days, 7 days a week. So it could be one job, but I'm taking like multiple shifts on.
Oh, okay, got it. That
So
makes
the
sense.
hours.
Yeah, so it's like what Rebecca said. I don't even work 9 to 5 anymore. I work 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's crazy. But that's like running a business right there. It's like when you're an entrepreneur, like basically this is just it depends on the business that you run, but in truth, right? Especially when you're starting out in any business, if it's a startup, if you're building momentum, like if you're thriving and you're building your Thrive business, like everything starts off the same. It's like you have to create momentum in the beginning. Okay,
Mhm.
you got to create momentum first, and then once the momentum is created, cash flow is coming in. That doesn't mean you're profitable, right? In Thrive it does, but in another bit in a traditional business where the infrastructure is not laid out, like all of that matters, right? And so like it doesn't mean that you're profitable from day one. There are businesses that you can make profit right away, like consulting. That's why I love consulting because there's no overhead expense except for your time, right? Which sucks, but like it depends on how much you want to charge for your time as well, right? Because it's about solving problems. You charge for how much you want to solve problems. And like if you can like this is like what wealthy people do, okay? Like this is something that I was like thinking about like literally yesterday. When you have money, right? When you have money, you think about like time. Okay. When
Yeah.
you have all the time, you think about money. It just depends on your situation. If you don't have money but you have time, then you're always using your time to make that money, right?
Mhm.
And then vice versa. Like when you have millions of dollars or billions, you're always thinking about how can I make more time? How can I save more time? How can
Yeah.
I get more time?
Yeah.
Right? Because you already have all the money. So you're now using your resources to make more time. For everyone who's in between those two, and like, you don't have the time, you don't have the money, right? But you want both, okay? Like you'll realize in the future that you'll sooner than later you'll realize that you want to make more money and you want to have more time, okay? And you want to spend it however you want to spend it, like both things. So the challenge is how can you resolve that problem right away, like today? How can you figure that out today, right? When it comes to like work, like having jobs, right? Like the whole dilemma of having a job is, I guess, or the challenge is if you love your job, that's perfect. Now, but you're not making enough money, then how do you make more money while still working your job? It's just about like working something on the side. That's it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But now, like the challenge comes when you decide to start something on the side. How disciplined are you, and how serious are you? If you're actually serious about it, you'll be disciplined about it. Like that's just the facts, right? So it just depends on your situation and your goals and like your lifestyle. Like, what do you truly want? Like, I think that to like summarize everything for this chapter in this episode, it's really about like this is what Jim Rohn says, like take things seriously, right? Like get serious. That's what he says. And the reason why he says that is because life is serious. He literally says life is serious. Okay. So you got to start to get serious about the serious things. There's a whole seminar that he does on serious, the word serious, and it's really good. I would encourage everyone, okay? Encourage everyone to take that serious seminar, okay? Because things are serious that they need to be serious.
By Jim Rohn. So if you just hopped on, Shed's talking about Jim Rohn in a serious seminar because you have to get serious being serious.
Okay.
Um,
But that's like, isn't that true? Like the beauty of life is that things are simple if you treat it simply, right? If,
Yeah.
if you treat things simple, then things will be simple in your perspective. But if you treat things like, it's super difficult, super hard, it's impossible, then that's what's going to be your life. Okay. So just to summarize this episode or this chapter in this episode is like, for sure, like you got to get serious about the serious things. Okay. If you are serious about spending time with your children, because you have children and you want to spend time with them, then get serious about that. How do you get serious? What do I mean by that? How do you define what serious is? Like you got to define that for yourself. Okay. I can't tell you that. We can't tell you like what to get serious about with your children. Like your lifestyle and your goals and dreams are different than ours. For us, our whole goal is just to, build our businesses in less time while spending time with our children, right? Making memorable experiences together, memories together, right? As fast as humanly possible. Today, it's family day for us. Guess what? Like, what are we going to do? I don't know yet, but we're going to do something, right? It doesn't matter. Like for us, if our children want to do something and because they want that, then we're going to do that depending on like, what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Usually like one day a week consistently, we're like, today's family day. Like, what do you guys want to do? Or here's a list of options, like pick one. And then it's like, that's it. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, if there's not a fire for any of the businesses, like get off your phone, right? Like if nope, not a fire, it's not an emergency, off your phone. Like it'll still be there at nighttime when they're asleep. And if we have to necessarily like really get to it, right? But it's so funny that you're talking about that, like about time and money, because like I was thinking about that this whole week. I'm just like, because it's so true. And I've been listening to like audibles as well, right? Like recently I'm listening to this ex-mafia guy who was making 10 million a week, right? Like there's always something you can learn from someone, and it kind of relates, right? Like business and the mob, like it is a business, right? Just a much more violent business. But there's still things to learn. There's still core principles and values, right? And so I was like, if you don't have time, you probably have money to leverage your time. And if you don't have money, then you probably have time to leverage to be able to make money, right? But now if you're in a position where you don't have time and you don't have money, like you need to reevaluate your life
Mhm.
because there's a lot of like your energy personally is only finite, right? Like you need to sleep, you need to rest. We're humans, we're not robots. We need to eat. We need to there's all these things that we literally physically have to do, right? So and I was talking to a friend the other day and she's been struggling for a long time and I'm like you need to switch jobs. Like you're unhappy for a third of your life. A day,
Mm.
like a third of your day is going towards something that does not bring you joy at all. You can make the same thing doing something else that absolutely brings you so much joy and there's so much more room to grow because when you're doing something and it makes you really happy, don't be blinded by what you're receiving now. Understand that when you're in that state, you're always going to be thinking of how you improve yourself or how you improve what you're doing or how you're doing things in order to get to the next level,
Mhm.
right? But if you're doing something that doesn't bring you joy, you're not going to think of those things,
Yeah.
right? So you're not going to grow in that. So I was like, you need to switch jobs. Like you need to find something that brings you joy. You'll get paid the same, and then you'll have room for growth because people are going to see you're going to improve. And when you improve yourself, you add value to a business or you add value to yourself. Like you will have many more opportunities
Mhm.
than, oh, well, I'm worth this because I can do this. Well, if you don't show you can do it, no one's going to give you those opportunities just because you think, you know what I mean? So I just
Facts.
wanted to add that in just in case like anyone was struggling with that, because I see it all the time and I'm just like, like, hey, but sometimes people aren't aware because you're so tired every day. You're just like, wake up, like clock in, clock out, like robot, like,
Zombie.
zombie, right? And so I was like, hey, like I love you, so like I'm just gonna be honest with you. This is what you need to do. And I'm like, and she's like, yeah, 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 I need to. I'm like, but it's been like 2 or 3 years, so when you gonna start? You know what I mean? Like I am that friend that will like light a fire under you. Like I will literally, I'm so direct because I don't know how to be indirect because it takes a long time to fluff things, right? And so I'm the type of person where it's like you're either gonna like be very upset at me the way I speak to you, or you're gonna really like it because you're like, I needed that. No one gave that to me. They just sat there and listened to my complaints for 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. Like, sorry, I'm not that friend. I'm not that patient. Like, I'm gonna tell you like it is directly. You need a new job. When are you gonna start? Like, just
Mhm.
start. Like, go look online, right? Like, start
Yeah.
looking, start interviewing, start seeing what you're worth, start seeing what brings you joy and what you can actually, grow in because you will grow if you really love what you do. And
Yeah.
that comes with like all things. It comes with work, it comes with Thrive, it comes with side businesses, it comes with anything and everything that you touch. If it brings you
Yeah.
joy, it makes you happy, do more of it and see how your life starts to change.
Yeah, and it's true. Like there's an argument in the world where it's like you shouldn't do what you love like as a job. But the thing is that when you are it depends on what it is. But if you are doing something where you're in an environment where it's uplifting for you, like it's making you more positive, it's amplifying everything you want and more, and it's just doing everything that is just enforcing and reinforcing like a flywheel, okay? It's a circle. It keeps if you do this, if you're in this job and you're happy about it and you're trying to make more and you're going after your goals, all of it is connected, okay? Every single part of it is connected together. So it actually amplifies, it accelerates the momentum for you. If you are in a job like right now, Lena just said, my job is draining. Totally reconsidering switching up careers. Time is too precious. Yes,
I
right?
hope you look today.
Look today because well, here's why. Because I'm gonna just share as an example. It's like if your job, because I've been in jobs that are draining, okay, and it sucks, right? It's because it's like what do you do? Because you have to realize like, all right, like I probably need to make more money. I probably need to do this. Probably need to do that. And so there's a lot of aspects to it, but basically, like just for this example, right? If you are drained in a job, okay, and now you're going after your goals and dreams, you're using this energy transfers to your goals and dreams now,
Mhm.
and then now when you're trying to go after your goals and dreams, you're going after it with probably all your might for sure and all your
Yeah.
willpower, but it's not accelerating it and amplifying it because your energy is not
Mhm.
aligned. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So then when you actually hit your goals, now it's like really pushing everything here, focusing everything here. And then from there, what's next? What about your health? What about like your family, your loved life? Like what about everything in between? Okay. All of this, it's a flywheel. It all is connected together. They're asking, what is the podcast? Is it this one? Diary of a CEO podcast, the former mafia.
Yes. So I started actually, so I didn't watch that specific podcast. I actually went to go find his book. I went to find his book and I started listening to his book, right? So I'm sure the podcast is great. I didn't look it up. I just went straight to his book. Um,
Oh, let me
you remember you because I was like telling you, and then you like literally knew his name.
Oh yeah,
I'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
yeah. So let me share one thing real quick. This is super important to know, at least in my opinion. This is just based on my philosophy. Shoot to the top, right? So what like another aspect of shooting to the top is going to the source. Okay. Which one makes more sense? To learn from the person directly, to learn, so that's obviously the best, is to learn from the person directly, right? Because that's proximity is power, and you get to like get the raw data, right? Then the next thing is like, okay, maybe they wrote a book. Okay, so now like, can you read their book? Can you figure out like exactly what they meant, because that's their words, that's them speaking directly. And then from there, podcast is next. It's because it's only getting snippets, right? Because it's based on like what the interview is asking, right? What the podcast is covering, etc. It's not covering the entire book, right? So always get like, if you go through the book, like that's better in my opinion, because you get the full picture, right, of what they shared. And then you add the podcast in, because now you get to hear from their perspective in modern time,
Yeah.
right? So because things may have changed a little bit, maybe they're revisiting, but it's all connected.
I was gonna say
Right.
that too. You just said
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta like look, like shoot to the top, get the full picture, then get the podcast, and then go from there. But obviously it depends on like what you want to do. I'm just giving you like another avenue that is just, in my opinion, is better. Okay, just get to the source first. It's a little more work. It takes a little bit more discipline. Takes a little bit more time. But what if like that extra like few hours saves you so much more, helps you, it instills something in you, like you download information that helps you right away. Like there's so many different things that you'll get because you got the full picture. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? More perspective.
And then listening to, audibles or what have you, like when you're in the car driving, it's like if you have kids in the car or friends in the car, they're going to be like, oh, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like they're going to be influenced by you and they're going to see that you want more, you want better. And you're going to inspire them to do the same because the kids are going to copy what you do. So you can't be like, don't do this or you shouldn't do this. And then you go and do it, right? They're going to be like, well, you said don't do this, but you're doing it. So that means it's okay, right? Because they look up to you. You're like their first mentor, the people that they're around, right?
Yeah.
And so your habits will leak onto them, right? And just like your surroundings, like who are you surrounded by? Like who are you getting into the rooms with, right?
Yeah.
Like how much are you putting yourself out there to be able to do these things, right? And I want to talk about energy and time, right? Like I missed out on a couple opportunities this past week because I just didn't have the energy. Like I didn't have the energy and I just wasn't feeling it because I was drained because I was just working on something. And I felt like I was pushing more than actually having joy in the process of it. And so like I got a text, right? Like I spoke on stage at a business conference a few years ago where what is it like where Bobby Kennedy was on the same stage and like we had like a Vanderbilt, right, who built America's railroads, like from the family line. She was on stage too, right, on the panel interviewing me. And so like one of the speakers who actually like trains multimillionaires and like business people was like, hey, I'm going to be in Orange County and I'm having a lunch, like come by. And I was like, I don't know if I can come, and he's just like, there's going to be 20 people there and they all make $500,000 a year. So what would it have been like for me to get in a room with people that are clearing 500,000 a year, not just one, but 20? It would have been so valuable to me because there's a lot of things that I can learn from people that are actually doing it and actually have it, right? But my energy just wasn't there. And I was like, I'm not feeling it. I'm completely drained from doing all these other things that clearly didn't make me money, make me better, whatever. And so I was just like, I'm not going to go. Like, I just can't go because when your energy is not right, it's like you're going to miss opportunities. And there was another opportunity I had signed myself up to like network with a bunch of women. There was like 30 or 40. And I was just drained. I was like, it'd be a great opportunity for me to network with local women in my area, right? There's about 30 or 40 of them showing up. I have no idea who they are. They have no idea who I am. They have no idea they're going to get started thriving with me if I just show up, right? No, I didn't go. Why? Because my energy was drained. And so I was like, man, this week I missed out on two huge opportunities to get myself to an event or get myself in a room where I was like, where it was an easy in. And I'm like, something's off. Like, that's not okay. Because to me, that's an IPA, that's an income producing activity. And for me to not do income producing activities and just to do busy work for what? Like, it's not okay with me because now I'm going back to like a worker mentality, right? And that's not who I am. That's not why I worked so hard since I was 16 to get out of, and now I'm going backwards. So I'm like, there's something wrong. I'm like, this is not okay. Like, I'm not going to keep missing out on events like this because I'm tired, right? Like, where I lack the energy because what I'm doing is not bringing me joy. It's just like, it makes no sense, right? Like, I leverage my funds for my time and I leveraged it. And now I'm giving my time to it. It makes no sense. So, when you're busier, when you're a parent, you think of time and energy and money a lot more differently. You actually work a lot smarter when you have less time. And there's a saying, like, if you want to get something done, how do you get it done? You give it to the busiest person, right? So I just wanted to share that.
Okay.
Those were a couple L's for me.
Yeah, else?
Those are a couple
No.
lessons learned
There
this
you go.
week.
All right.
So L's, lessons learned. So I wanted to share that just because like, we're on here and we're teaching and stuff, but it's not like we're not learning through our own lives. And like, I want to be transparent in like the things that like I go through or that we go through. Like, there's things that still happen. Like we're still figuring it out and learning and growing. And yeah, time, energy, money, those three things. If it's a flywheel, like what you were saying.
Yeah, you got to be very intentional with how you use your time and your energy because what you decide to do or not do will dictate like your lack of energy, your lack of time, etc. And so it's all your decisions that you make. One thing like I like because everyone in the chat is really talking about, like if you read it, this is really a big thing, I think. If you are, so I'm just gathering like I'll just read the comments real quick, right? Um, like I'm so tired working 6 to 7 days in a salon and away from my kids. Like that is like time is too precious. That is a huge, huge pain point to solve, right? 23 going on 24 years. I'm vested. I can leave. Not waiting 30 years. Gotta live. Yes. Like that. Like especially especially like if you have the opportunity to take the risks, like go for it because you won't get that back. Like the time you won't get you I'm not saying that you will never get it back, but I'm saying that it's just better just to do it now, like sooner than later, because there is no point in waiting when you already know what you want, right? I think that they got the book already, right?
Yeah.
What the
What
book
book?
name? The one that
Oh.
you were referencing?
We should tell the author too.
Yeah, they put it in the chat.
Okay, good.
Alexis said, literally same with my job. My fiance and I had a whole heart to heart last night to get back on the same page. With my job right now, it's so draining and being a stay-at-home mom. I needed the support of him before looking elsewhere for another job or venturing outside. And I made the mistake to think he was a mind reader and could feel my energy. That's huge.
Mhm.
I feel like a weight lifted after having an open conversation with my partner and where to shift my focus. We were not aligned and it was hindering our growth. Yes, it's so important, right? Like basically what you guys were doing is you guys were trying to make the ends meet without like everything connecting, right? And so when you had that discussion, you actually were able to bridge your both of you together and you guys realigned on the same page. And when you have a partner, it's so like this is the most important thing is that if your partnership is aligned together, it's game over in a good way because now you guys are going with the same vision, the same direction, the same story between each other. Everything is aligned. So now all your energy combines together and literally changes things for both of you at the same time. It's freaking crazy, but that's like truly what happens. Magic happens when two people come together in true alignment, right? So that's really good. Congratulations on doing that because That's huge. Okay. For everyone who has a partner and you guys are not aligned, like there has to be a discussion done. And both of you had to come together to the realization that it's like it's both of you coming together, right? And going after the same thing. Otherwise, it's not going to really work out, right? So that's just so important. The podcast, yeah, author is Michael Franzese, and that's the book. Can you read the book out loud? Alexa says that's how my mindset fell behind because I was getting drained with my home life. The energy was off. I was tiptoeing around my fiance, and we needed to get it back together. That was my lesson learned. Thank you for sharing.
I'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
That's the book. Okay, that's the book. So that's so important, right? That's so important to get aligned. One thing that when it comes to because I want to address this for sure. If you are in a job where it's draining you, and you have opportunity to switch, right? I would encourage everyone to do this instead. First, okay? Like think with the end in mind, okay? So you have to think with the end in mind. What do I mean by that is if you already know, like if you know what you want in your life and you have goals and vision that you want to accomplish, you reverse engineer from there. Reverse engineer from that end point. So if you're in a job that is draining you and you're not happy there and it's not helping you grow and it's just giving you it's just draining you, okay? It's just negative, right? It's not a good place for you to be in. Well, guess what? That's good because now you are aware of that. But the next thing is you need to figure out where do you want to end up. If you know where you want to end up, work from there. Okay? So if you're in a job that you don't like, go from where you want to be and then from there get as close to that as possible right now. So what I mean by that is today, look for a job or a position that already aligns with your end in mind, with your end goal. If you do that, now you'll get data because if you actually didn't make the decision, you take it seriously and you do it, you'll get data, like real raw data right away, or sooner than later, about if you truly want the end in mind. Okay? Then you can cut your learning curve with less efforts and less expense. And also you get to like experience life faster because now you know what you want or what you don't want. You might think that you want this, like whatever it is, that goal, and then you actually experience it sooner than you realize you would. And then you realize you don't want it or you don't like it or you need to pivot or change something up or you got more data. So now it's like, all right, maybe I don't want this. I want something else. Okay. So if you have opportunity to take big risks. And what I mean by big risks is like dabble into multiple industries or dabble into different things, start your businesses, whatever that may be. Like do it sooner than later. Because if you do it sooner than later, you'll just have more data to work with. And when you have more data, more experience, more wisdom, more knowledge, then you're going to be able to make pivots faster because you'll be able to make decisions faster and actually follow through with them. And when it comes to like taking your life seriously, right? Like have a list, like literally like write down a list of what you want. If you don't write down like what you want, then how do you truly know what you want? If you're not even able to take 5 minutes to write down a list of what you want, then how serious are you really about it? You can always talk to yourself, say like, I'm serious, but you haven't wrote it down. You haven't taken 5 minutes for yourself, whether you have kids or not. 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. If you can't give yourself 5 minutes for what you truly want in life, then you truly don't want it. Like that's the truth right there. Okay.
You're not living either, you know? Sometimes you get so like robotic, right? In your ways. But also taking action, right? Because reading, listening, watching, writing, like if you don't take the actual action steps and just start, even if it just takes a few minutes to actually do it, then like there's no point. You're just gonna like loop back in the cycle of like learning and strategizing and writing and not doing it and watching the actual result of what you wanted, right? So it's funny that you say that to keep the end in mind because I literally told my friend, I'm like, when you look for this next job, don't just look for something that's going to pay you a little bit more that you do like, right? To do like, think of this as like, if this was your last job, I said, if this was your last job you ever had to do for the rest of your life, I'm like, look for that. Like, look for that, because you don't want to end up in the same place you are now in another place. Like, look
Yeah.
for whatever you feel would be the last job. It, like, if you had to work for the rest of your life for the next 20, 30 years until you retire, if you can retire because you made sure you got your finances right and they had something for you, like, look for that. Keep that in mind when you're looking, because then you're not willing to settle for less, right? You're not willing to settle, maybe this might happen, right? And so it's funny that you mentioned like to look for the end in mind, because that's what I literally told my friend to do.
Yeah, it's just like a proven like, concept. Like just use it. Use the models that are out there. Like there's success models. So use like you got to learn about the success models and then you got to apply the success models. Otherwise, you're trying to learn on your own. But like there's already ways to cut your learning curve right away, right? And then once you get the money out of the way, then now like the challenge will be like the time again. It's gonna go back. It's like, all right, how can I get more time? How can I make more time? How can I cut the learning curve to get more time? Like all these things. And that's where you start to like use your funds to buy back time, right? But if you're able to figure out both at the same time, because keep things simple, like why can't you apply billionaire lessons that are saving time to you right now? You can,
You
because
can.
it's actually very simple. Okay. It's super simple. And like we can, like I've already shared this before on previous episodes about automating your life, about using time management frameworks, right? Eliminate, automate, delegate. I've already shared this before, but are you using it? Are you taking action on it? Are you implementing it? Right? Are you like a billionaire literally said this on an interview. He said every single, oh my gosh, was it a day? Hour. Every hour is $100 million. That's to him, okay? Every hour. That's kind of crazy. But it's because his company is valued or is going to make 100 million or $100 billion, okay? So like but in his perspective, he's wrestling with like all right, he has to have his health in check. Otherwise, if his health is not in check, then he might make one decision that is not that great, and it will affect the company by $100 million. That's what he says in an interview, and I'm like, wow, okay. And then he shared this. He shared what I shared to you guys before. He shared like what his decision making process and how he carries out things out, and he's realizing that like I did all this work, but I decided to eliminate it, and then I had to eliminate enough and then put back some things to make sure that I eliminated enough so that way I actually know that this is what was needed, right? But he realized he needed to eliminate first, right? The simple thing to do is, do I even need it? Question like the purpose of why I need it. And if I didn't need it at all, just eliminate it altogether, right? You might have to put things back in, but that's how you know that you carried out the example, the framework properly, right? His equation. And what did I share before? It's the same exact thing with your time. It's like with what you do. Literally, if a billionaire is doing it and they're trying to figure out like what they need to get the XYZ result, and it intertwines with time as well, because it was a waste of energy and time that he concluded. Like it's about us doing the same thing too. It's like just because he's a billionaire doesn't mean that his frameworks don't apply to your life, right? All of us, again, whether you're a billionaire, millionaire, or not, you're on your way. Time is still 24 hours a day for all of us, regardless. You can keep things simple. You can apply like these frameworks to your life right away. One of the frameworks is eliminate, automate, delegate. When it comes to like activities, if you feel like there's no purpose in it, try to figure out how you can eliminate it, right? If you can eliminate it, then why do it at all? You already know the answer. You got the data that gives you the result. So eliminate it, right? You're gathering more information. Now, if you have to automate it because it's needed, then try to figure out how to automate it. And if you can't automate it, how do you delegate it, right? Because again, in business, especially when we're talking about business, right? A business is meant for one thing. It's to make money, right? That's all a business is made for, really. It's to make money. And then also like the byproduct of it, I mean, like the main product of it is like the service or product that the result that it delivers. But you're making money with the business, okay? And so if a business can run because it's all about systems and process, how do you systemize and really like refine the process so that way other people can step into that business right away. If you're able to replace yourself in your business right away, it's because you understand the systems and process that it takes to run the business. If you're not able to systemize and process and refine the process and then put someone in place of you right away, then you don't know the steps. Okay, it's that simple. So you have to like figure out how what you can eliminate, automate, delegate, and then systemize everything, right? Use the 5 pillars of massive scale. Systems, right? Foundation and system. Create the infrastructure for those two things to work. And from there, now you have a process that people can literally, you just take people, you employ them, or you put them in place and they just run, right? It's like that. It's so simple like that. It just depends on the business that you're running and operating. But, you know, when it comes to like for example, with Thrive, like how do you,
I keep pressing the button on accident, and every time I'm like, did I press it down or up?
when it comes to like Thrive, for example, like one of the things that like you can automate is your income producing activities, right? And what I mean, systemize first, okay? Like you can systemize your income producing activity. Like when it comes to Thrive, it's like when it comes to social media, it's really so simple. Like right now, we're doing an income producing activity. And then the next step is literally, you know, like editing it and then posting it. That's it. That's already done. Income producing activity. It's systemized. Okay. To automate it is I would just literally like download it, send it off to a video editor, they edit it, and then I post it. Right. I can do that. But it just depends on what you want to do. I don't want to do that right now. Right. So that's why I do it myself. It depends on what the video, the system is. Okay. So it just depends on like what your energy is going to be put into and the XYZ result that you're going to get. If I can offload certain things and it's going to get the same or better result, then I can do that. If it's not going to get the same or better result, then I'd rather do it myself. It just depends on the situation and the result you want to achieve. And if you even want to automate or delegate it, okay? It's all up to you. Like as an entrepreneur, one thing that I'll share before we go is, and there's a second thing I'll address for the jobs, but if you're an entrepreneur, like one thing that I learned from experience and from also mentorship, okay, but both personal experience and also just being in the right rooms, is entrepreneurship is at your whim. You can do whatever you want to do in entrepreneurship as long as it's legal, as long as it's, you know, with the law, and as long as it's a moral, in my opinion, like morally good. All right. But really, like you can do anything you want because you're the creator of your life. And as an entrepreneur, that is the power, that is the magical power that you have as an entrepreneur, is that you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, you can be whoever you want. You can literally just you can decide on what you want as an entrepreneur. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship. It takes discipline, it takes learning, it takes hard work, it takes grit, it takes smart work, it takes all of the in between, okay? It may be the most challenging thing you ever do, right? But it's worth it in the end, okay? And so, or worth it throughout the entire process, that journey that you're on. Now, that's just one. For employees, people who still have 9 to 5 jobs, you know, like 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. jobs, like you're working all day long and you have everything else going on. You have children, you have your health, you have everything in between.
At home, cooking,
Home,
cleaning,
cooking,
errands,
cleaning, errands,
kids' activity.
his activities, everything, okay? All that stuff, partner, relationship, everything, okay? Like even if you don't have it, like simulate that. Like everything that you have going on, but you're not happy in your position, your job. Okay, if you're not happy and you truly know that and you've taken a step back, like you've taken a step back to reevaluate everything, you've written down your goals, you've done all the work, okay? Again, use the productivity workbook. It's free. I created it. It's free. It's a good reference. It's a good tool. You can use that to recreate your entire life, literally in 10 pages. Because that's what I did. I created it for that reason, to be more productive, to get more done in less time. Okay, that applies to entrepreneurs and it applies to employees. And I don't make any money from it at all. Okay, it's not monetized. It's free. So guess what? Use that tool if you need to reevaluate your life and recreate your life, right? It's gonna walk you through the current situation that you're in, your vision, and then everything in between to get to that result, right? It's a problem and a solution, and it helps you resolve all that, but you have to do the work. It requires you to print it out and to sit with yourself and write through everything, right? And when you use it, you'll realize if you're serious about taking like to making jumps and leaps and going like to where you want to go and end up, like you have to do that work. It's laid out for a reason. It's because it's taking you through the journey of your next step, your transition, the next chapter in your life. It's helping you bridge the gap between problem and solution. It literally does all that in one workbook, okay? And so, and it involves family. I literally have a little chapter, like one page is dedicated to family time. Why? It's because I regretted not spending time with my family. I regretted not spending time with my loved ones. I have that regret weighing on my shoulders because I didn't do what I should have done and I knew better, but yet I didn't decide to do it. I regret not spending time with my family. So I literally dedicated an entire page to that. Okay. That's in there as well. For you, for your self-love, self-help, like self-care, you doing your passions and goals, there's a page for that. Okay. It's about scheduling rewards and really pursuing like what you want in life right now, today. Okay. I push urgency because when you have money and you don't have time, what is the most important thing for you? Time. Okay. So I'm telling you right now, like you're no matter what, when you're a millionaire, if someone here becomes a billionaire, whatever the case may be,
Remember us if you become a billionaire, give us some tips.
Yeah, like 24 hours in your day, you're still gonna wrestle with that. So try to figure that out sooner than later, because if you are, it's just gonna help you. It's not gonna hurt you. It's only gonna help you. And you're gonna be able to help other people in the future as you're going on that journey and experiencing it for yourself. Okay. So, but if you have that pain point, right, you're stuck and you don't want to be stuck.
Which it seems like a lot of people do.
Yeah, well, based on the comments,
Time is precious.
based on everyone's engagement, for those who shared, it does seem like that is a pain point, right? Well, guess what? Get unstuck. Okay, if you're stuck, get unstuck, do the work, and take the action, right? It's for you, right? Take the action if you truly want to. That's on you to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
But use all this information, use all this data, use this knowledge, and really, again, take time to write for yourself this week, today. Like if you already know, like take time and then figure out what you want and then reverse engineer what you want to get yourself in that position to make sure that you make that jump and boom, like make
Yeah.
things happen.
And then just take a
Okay.
little action step, even if it's
Yeah.
only 5 or 10 minutes to go through like what he just said, like that little action item that you wrote down, it'll take 5 or 10 minutes, or maybe you can't do it fully, but 5 or 10 minutes is worth your time to start valuing your time, because no one else will value your time more than you will. So don't get pulled into other people's plans or try to compensate for other people's times. Like they don't see it, they don't know it, they don't care, right? You do. So what's important to you, right? Where does your time go? Where should it go, right? If you don't value your time, other people won't either. So it's up to you and it's your responsibility. And if you haven't been valuing your time and people have been like taking advantage of it, like sorry, not sorry, like it's your fault, right? Because it was yours to give. And so it's yours to take back. So take the time to just, ask yourself, what do you want? What is your time worth? What is spending time with your kids worth to you, right? And is what you're doing on a day-to-day basis aligned with that? And if not, productivity workbook, goal setting, strategizing, thinking time, and just 5-10 minutes, to start inching towards that goal.
Yes. And then Catherine says, let's end. If you're open, give Crystal a hug for that amazing transparency shared. It's less and less weight carried on the events missed when you express and be transparent.
Love you. Thank you. Learn from my lessons.
Yeah.
Learn the hard lessons on your own.
Yeah. And then also like this is something we can talk about in the next episode. But it's called high status networking again. There's so much with it. Like you when you build a personal brand, you really don't have to go to events.
Yeah.
Because the people come to you.
People will message you. I remember last year after I spoke, someone like a big influencer with 2 to 3 million followers, like your friend was like, hey, do you want to come to a networking event next week here? Like it's only millionaires, like millionaires only. And so, you get opportunities.
Yeah. And just because you don't have a big following doesn't mean that you're like you don't have high status in the social world.
True.
Right? It's because
That's what we've been experiencing as we've been hopping on a lot of calls these weeks. People are like, oh, they know everyone, but they're not like big on social. And
Yeah.
they really do know everyone, are very well connected.
Yeah, and I discovered that in 2015 because, and I created my entire, like some of my philosophies and frameworks for high status networking. My methodology involves that. I've been teaching that since 2018, is that there's people out there who have high status and, they're financially wealthy, they're very successful, their philanthropies, all these things, okay? Like everything that you can think of that would equate to high status. Like these people have, yet they have 100 followers on Instagram, okay? And then people, they just don't know that they don't know high status networking. They don't know high status frameworks. They don't know the high status world. They don't know status transfers. They don't know, they don't have a perspective of high status, okay? The world of high status surrounding and understanding of that. So that's high status networking. I covered it on last episode, so we won't cover it on the next one, but it's just something to know is that when
It's recorded though, right?
yeah, it's
So
already it's
if anyone
uploaded.
wants to see
It's
it.
uploaded on YouTube. It's free, right? Like I charge for coaching. If people who want high status networking coaching, then I'll charge for that because that's my time, right? But when it comes to like the advice or the knowledge I give, right, it's all there. There's hours of high status networking on our YouTube channel, and you just gotta dig for it. But
That's how you found me.
I applied high status networking and
Smart guy. Smart guy. I'm a good catch.
attracted her to me. So I apply all this in real life, all right? But yeah, don't like if you miss opportunities like events, like yes, there is missed opportunities for sure. There's opportunity costs as well at the same time. If you didn't have something going on that's better than that, and how do you know which is better or not? Like you don't know, and unless it's hindsight. But these opportunities, like it's lessons that, all right, well, build personal brand then, build like a following, build an audience, like become the magnet that you want. You have to attract. Okay, you gotta attract things to you, and then from there it will reflect it back out, and vice versa. It's a circle. It's a flywheel. So there's a lot more with that, but I'm just want to end it because that was a great note. The hug. Thank you. So
That was a side hug. It was you gotta, when we get off, you gotta give me like a bear hug.
yeah,
Not like
yeah,
a
of course.
like, hey, you're my buddy, you're my friend hug.
It's a PG call.
We love you guys so much. Thank you for sharing your energy. Thank you for being on. Thank you for your comments and your feedback. We
Thank
love
you
you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing also. If you're stuck again, get unstuck, you already know it. You got it. Okay, we believe in you and you'll make it happen 100%. It's just game. It's game over. So we love you all. Yeah, we love all the fun. Okay, we love being here. So have an amazing day. Crush it. Dominate your path. And make it happen. All right, we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Peace out.